Today we are going to do lesson number 4, Seema's reward. And before we begin the lesson, I would request every one of you to open your textbook, and at the same time the lesson begins with an activity for you all, that is tickle the mind. There is a small activity given in the textbook. Kindly do the activity after the lesson is done. Now let's begin the lesson, and as usual I request everyone to open the reader and have a pencil in your hand so that you would underline all the new words. Once there was a village named Kinnaur. There were no crops for 4 years. So we are speaking about a village. I think you all know what a village looks like. It's the most beautiful place which I would love to visit. And I wish every one of you all to visit and see how a village looks. You have fields over there, it's all greenery, we find the crops being grown and the farmers working in the fields, women singing songs while they work, the water, the canals, it looks very beautiful. So when you get an opportunity, please do visit a village to understand how it looks. And we are speaking about a village, Kinnaur, where there were no crops for 4 years. That means, who grows crops for us? The farmer does the farming for us, and he grows the food grains. Our food grains that we eat daily are grown by the farmers. How do they grow it? They have land there and the crops are grown there. Now in this village, they did not have farming for 4 years. The people became poor. They didn't have money, they didn't have food to eat. So they became very poor. There was no food for the villagers to eat. Can you stay without food? I cannot stay without food. I hope even you cannot stay without food. But just imagine, the people in the village who are called the villagers didn't have any food to eat. They were starving. Now what is starving? You feel that, when you feel very hungry, you feel that the stomach is aching, there's a lot of pain inside, right? Same thing. They had the pain, they wanted some food, but they didn't have any food with them. Mr. Robert was a rich man in the village. Who was Mr. Robert? He was the richest man in the village. He was very kind man, and he was very kind. That means he always took care of others. He decided to help the villagers. So what did Mr. Robert do? He wanted to help the poor people who were starving without food. How did he help them? He invited the children to his house every day. So in the village there were a lot of children like you. So he invited the children to his house every day. He kept loaves of bread in a basket. Now you all know what is bread. You must be having once in a day, once in a week or something like that. Your mother would have planned for a breakfast, bread and jam, bread and butter, right? So the bread, when it is baked in the bakery by the baker, the man who makes this bread is called a baker. He makes the bread a big loaf. Loaf is nothing but a large piece of something, anything, right? So a large piece of bread, he used to keep lot of big breads without the cutting it. Like you buy a bread packet from the market, you have slices of bread in that. So if that is not cut, it is called a loaf of bread. So he kept a large basket in his house where he had lot of bread in it. He asked them to take one each. So every day everyone used to take one loaf of bread. The children used to fight for the bread. So as you also, do you fight with your sister or your brother? No? Very good. If you don't fight, very good. If you fight also, sometimes it brings love among us when we fight for small petty things. So these children used to fight for the bread. There was a girl called Seema. Among the children there was one girl, sweet little girl called Seema. She never fought with other children. That's the reason I said Seema was sweet. She never fought with other children. She used to wait silently for her turn. So she never used to, when Mr. Robert brought the basket, all the children used to fall on that to pull the bread. But Seema was not like that. She used to stand in a corner and wait till her turn comes. She always got the smallest loaf of bread. Every time she used to thank the rich man for his kindness. It went on so for several days. So what she used to do when Mr. Robert kept the basket there, she never used to fall on the bread. She used to wait when her turn would come, and then she would take the bread. In the last, what was left in the basket was a small share, small piece of bread. She used to take that bread and then she used to thank him. Thank you very much, sir, she used to say, and then move out. One day, Seema took the smallest loaf of bread and went home. She gave it to her mother. When they opened it, they were surprised to see some gold coins inside. Seema took the gold coins back to the rich man. So what happened is, daily Mr. Robert used to call the children home. He used to keep bread ready for them, and the children used to take the bread. They used to fall on the basket, and as usual, Seema used to wait for her turn. She used to go, take the bread, and then thank him and go home. So the same routine happened. So one day what happened, after taking the bread, Seema was not selfish. She liked sharing food with others. So she used to share it with her mother. Because everybody was starving in that village, even her mother, her father, nobody had food to eat. So she took the bread home, and after reaching home, when her mother was cutting the bread, she saw gold coins in that. And what did Seema did? She took the gold coins and went to the rich man again. Who was the rich man here? Mr. Robert. She said to him, "There are a few gold coins in the bread." Mr. Robert felt happy for her honesty. So as soon as she saw Mr. Robert, she said, "There are a few gold coins in the bread." And Mr. Robert was very happy. He wanted to test her. He wanted to see that, after getting the gold coins, would Seema keep the gold coins in house and come the next day? But she was very honest. Then she came back again immediately and gave the gold coins to him. And what did he say to her? "I kept them in the smallest loaf. I knew you will get that loaf. They are yours. Please take them home. It is your reward." So what did Mr. Robert say? "I know. I purposefully kept it. I wantedly kept it in the small loaf of bread. And I knew that you will take that loaf. And the gold coins are all yours. This is your reward." Reward is nothing but a prize or a gift which we give when we see a nice quality in somebody. Be kind and never quarrel. So what is the moral of the story? What did we understand? We should always be kind. We must never fight with others. Right? You got good behavior always gives you a reward. So whenever we behave very well, and if we are very well mannered, people will like our company, and they would always appreciate us. Appreciate means they would say, "Oh, he is nice," or "She is very nice girl." For example, if your name is Rita, Rita is a very good girl. Ram is a very good boy. They study very well. They behave very well. So these are the qualities which allow others to appreciate us. So now that we have done the lesson, I request every one of you to read the lesson once again, and don't forget to do the activity, tickle the mind, and at the end of the lesson, we have some exercises for you. Please kindly do the exercise. Thank you, children.